And welcome back to Purple Mafia on YouTube, of course. Purple Mafia show on YouTube, and of course, there's the Purple Mafia podcast, which has been around forever and is actually the longest tenured podcast in the history of Minnesota. You didn't hear me say that out loud, did you? But it actually is. Well, the Minnesota Vikings signed Carson Wentz and have traded away Sam Howell. They kind of listened to a lot of us that were like, you might want to bring a veteran in. It's probably a better idea to bring a veteran in because, well, you have basically like a baby quarterback. No offense to J.J. McCarthy, but yeah, it's like a baby quarterback. He's never played an NFL game yet. And you're going to have like another guy who's, just a couple years older than him, who's kind of funky, maybe maybe talented, but has kind of a little funky between the ears. Might not be the best choice. You know what I mean? Not a bad person at all, I'm sure. But then, so where Sam Howell was traded to was the Philadelphia Eagles. Their backup at the moment has a injured hand, I do believe. Whether you're right-handed, left-handed, whichever hand it is, hand injuries in the NFL are not good for a quarterback. Just look at what happened to Randall Cunningham. It was his non-throwing hand, but what happened to him right before halftime against the Atlanta Falcons, 98. Anyhow, we'll leave that right where it is. Yeah. So where Sam Howell was traded was the Philadelphia Eagles. They just won the Super Bowl. And well, the quarterback is established. He's a Super Bowl winning quarterback. He's legitimate, all that good stuff. So that's okay to have a guy like Sam Howell backing up him. Here, you'd probably rather have somebody who's a veteran who's kind of been there a bit. Carson Wentz is a veteran who's been there and all of that. He might not be the greatest backup in the history of the world, might not be the greatest starter in the past, this and that, but actually I think he is a pretty good backup, to be quite fair. And obviously he was a very good starter with the Philadelphia Eagles. Unfortunately, things kind of went south for some strange reason. He had a nice renaissance season with the Indianapolis Colts in 2021. Carson Wentz is now age 32. He was 29 in 2021 with the Indianapolis Colts. He actually had a pretty good year. That kind of jumped out at me. 27 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. The Colts were 9-8. It's just kind of interesting, though, to see that he was that good. I was surprised, actually. I was actually quite surprised to see that. With the Eagles, of course, before the ACL. He was spectacular in 2017. That's when it looked like Carson Wentz might be a top 3 quarterback in the league. And him being on the Vikings versus a Case Keenum and an injured Teddy Bridgewater, that type of thing, would have been unbelievable. But, of course, that's kind of how that is. Thankfully, hopefully, we have a guy in J.J. McCarthy who has a spectacular future. But it makes sense. So the actual chips that the Vikings got back, so the Vikings included a 6th-round pick to the Philadelphia Eagles for Sam Howell, but then in return, a 5th-round pick and a 7th-round pick. So I believe this is all 2026, and part of it could be the Vikings' 6th-round pick, and the Vikings keep the pick. The Vikings keep the pick they acquired from the New York Jets in the Harrison Phillips trade, because that would be significantly higher. It would make more sense. At least I would hope that's what's taking place here. So it makes a heck of a lot more sense. And having a 32-year-old backup makes a lot of sense. Also keeping Max Brosmark long-term also makes sense. He could be the future backup. He could be the guy who continues to gain experience and all that. And more than likely, Brett Rypien is an odd man out. Maybe he stays around as a practice squad guy. And it's no offense to Brett Rypien. I'm sure he's a great football mind, and maybe the Vikings keep him around to, again, have a future in the NFL as a coach. Who knows? Who knows what's on his mind? But that's kind of where we're at. Stay tuned for the season preview. Already created the logo. It's well, I won't say it's earth-shattering or anything, but it's fun. I think it looks fun for the preseason episode on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all that. That'll be the podcast. These are kind of more like side conversations here on YouTube, but and of course, halftime and immediate reaction when it comes to NFL games, as long as the schedule is permitting, because, well, it is what it is. I have a second shift kind of a job, and I recently got promoted to a higher position. So, and I mean really recently, it hasn't officially happened yet. So it's one of those deals. You're promoted, but the position doesn't kick in until right about the start of the NFL season. So those night games will be a little bit tougher, potentially. Probably immediate reaction afterward on YouTube is more likely than halftime, that type of thing. But that's kind of the story there. All right, I've rambled long enough. Happy with the move, generally speaking. I'm annoyed with how people are like, why? He sucks. I don't know about that. I'd rather have Carson Wentz than Sam Howell as the backup of the Minnesota Vikings. So until next time, we'll probably be back on here for some more news, a bit, maybe the final cut downs and such. Anyhow, I've rambled long enough. We'll be back soon. Thank you, and check out the podcast.